Hello, hello.
Hello.
Oh, hello, Kisa. Am I pronouncing that correctly?
Kisa, yes.
Kisa, wonderful.
Yes.
Hello, Kisa.
And you, is it Anik or Anik?
It's actually Anik.
Okay. Okay, great.
Yeah.
Welcome. And I see Alex there, and I did invite him to speak. I'm going to try again. And welcome, Sebastian. Welcome back.
Yeah, hello, guys. Hi, Alex.
Yeah, Alex, do you
Hello,
see...
Sebastian.
Oh, there we go. Perfect, perfect. Okay, nice. Right on. Well, welcome, everybody. And I reckon we'll hang out. Oops. Are you talking?
No.
Sorry, that was my fault. I'm also a speaker, but I can't sign in yet. I'm Una, Anik's wife, and I can't sign in yet because I am going to play as the intro.
Don't worry about it. Let's not complicate it, huh? Or?
It's not complicated.
No, okay, cool. It is to me. I'm like... Okay, so, shall we roll? Good morning, afternoon, and evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is the second episode of the whole entire universe, with myself, Anik Malcolm, and my trusty companion, Una Steeks, on the Bitcoin Art broadcast, presented to you courtesy of Bitcoin Art Magazine. Make sure you're following Bitcoin Art Magazine on all social media channels. You can find all our links on bitcoinartmagazine.com. And do make sure to order yourself a copy of the magazine, or even the fine art book version if you like, if you haven't done so already. This is absolutely certain to become a seminal work of Bitcoin art history and features many of the artists presented on the show, including myself. You can stay up to date with all upcoming shows on bitcoinartbroadcast.com. And do make sure you're following me on Twitter at Anik Malcolm, which is ANIKMALCOLM. And you can check out my artwork on anikmalcolm.com. And also check Alex Schaefer. He's in here on the space. I'm afraid I don't know his... Oh, it's Paint with Alex, I believe. And yeah, thank you for joining our show today. Hope you enjoy your time with us. And without any further ado, it is my sincere pleasure to introduce to you the art arsonist, or is there artinist himself, Alex Schaefer. Alex is a very familiar contributor to the Bitcoin art world with his beautifully utopian plein air images of blazing fiat institutions, but he's also been a firm fixture of the broader art world for many years in Los Angeles and beyond, and has accrued a very respectable following both here on X and also on Instagram, where you can find a large selection of his works going back many years. So, Alex,
Hey.
How are you doing, man? Are you good?
I'm great. Perfect timing.
Wonderful. I'm very glad to hear that. I have a very first question for you right here, straight off the bat. Are you, Alex Schaefer, the only artist to ever have been arrested for doing chalk drawings on the sidewalk?
As far as I know, yes. I think other people have been arrested for, different stuff, but yeah, that was 12 hours in jail in downtown LA. That was quite an experience.
No way.
Yeah,
that's incredible.
People were at the time. It was in and around the same Occupy Wall Street happening,
right?
2011, and
right.
There were people that were just protesting, in different places, you know, and for me, the focus has always just been the banks and the money, and that's the root of the problem.
Right.
And, so I was just lucky to find someone who wanted to come with me and bring a camera, and they knew how to do a little edit, and we got everything on film. And as soon as word got out, I had a lawyer say, "I'm ready for you pro bono. Let's do this."
Wow.
And at the time, the police commissioner or the district attorney of Los Angeles was just going hard on anybody that was protesting any kind of thing, and it just, you know, the whole sidewalk chalk thing just seemed like such a no-brainer.
Right, absolutely.
Because it's literally at the end of the video that they made, the guy just from the city works department comes by with a spray washer and all the evidence is gone.
Right.
And it's like, well, where's the damaged partner here? This is
exactly. Where's the criminal damage? I was wondering what is it that they officially held you for? Because I'm sure
vandalism. So,
really?
but because
that's just so comical.
Any private property in any way, shape, or form, they just, you know, they had to back off.
Right, exactly. I mean, they were lawyered up, right?
He was ready. I mean, I think that the banks, their modus operandi now towards me is just ignore.
Right.
You know, like they got a little taste of what it felt like when those cops stopped me, and then I had Homeland Security come to my studio, and then that turned into a huge story. I think they realized that the more that they lean into trying to persecute me, the worse that they're going to look, you know, and they already look bad. And so it's been.
So that's kind of, in a way, part of the artwork itself, right? It's the whole story around it, you know? It's a performance, it's an actual artwork, of course, and then it's the whole, you know, repercussion, so to speak. You know, it's a question of, like, where do the legal limits lie? What is making an example of someone? What, you know, what is protest? All of this stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it was a fascinating thing. I mean, I wasn't thinking about that, about every single angle at the time. It was just like, I was super into plein air painting for years in and around that time, where, you know, you take your art supplies out and you just paint on the street. And I was living downtown, and I was used to painting on the sidewalks and having spectators and that sort of thing, and working in public. And I just thought, gosh, this is such a perfect mix here. This is the chocolate and the peanut butter to make the Reese's peanut butter. And it just, they bit, you know, that was the whole point, was to draw attention and just, I think an overarching thing with my paintings is just to get people, instead of the powers that be wanting us to be angry and blaming one another and pointing across from each other, we need to be pointing up at the problems.
Right.
That's what they are, you know. And if you're being made angry about something like cutting SNAP benefits or whatever, I mean, I really think everything roots at the degradation of our money. I mean, I would argue even racism, crime, like all this stuff, xenophobia, it all roots at people are desperate, and they're getting more desperate. And if these problems did not exist because of the circumstances that we've been born into with this system, that there would be a lot more just peace, you know, peace between each other and peace between nations and whatever. I mean, I can't remember who exactly it was that said it, but they said fiat currency was created to wage war, you know, like Lincoln and the greenback. It goes back to forever, because you want an easy source of money to be able to pay for what you're doing. Shit, I don't hear anything.
Hello, I hear you.
Okay.
Alex. Hey, this is Kisa. So amazing to have you on. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah. Asanoa hopefully will join us later. He just had to go to an appointment that he couldn't get out of. Oops, and it looks like we've lost Anik. Anik, that's right. Let me see if I can invite him back up. He was having some tech problems earlier, but we thought we solved them in our test. We did a test. And, oops, there he is.
It always
Hi, Anik.
is.
I'm not going to make him a co-host quite yet, because sometimes that causes issues.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Wonderful. I'm so glad. I do apologize for that little glitch in the matrix. So we're all back. We're all set. Yeah. I'm Alex. I'm really sorry. I missed a little bit of what you said beforehand, but I'm not going to ask you to repeat it because everyone else did catch it.
Yeah.
Yes.
We were just talking about just this overarching belief that I have that regarding my paintings, the point of them is to get people to direct their fury not at one another and across the spectrum, but up at the root of the problem.
Right. Yeah.
And I would argue that a lot of
absolutely
that we have, like I was saying, racism, xenophobia, depression, drug abuse, endless wars, that they are rooted in our monetary system. There would be less racism if people were not.
Absolutely.
They wouldn't be pissed off at
absolutely. It's
the other citizens,
It's the desperation. It just like so. It affects everything. It affects how the advertising world works. It affects how how culture works. In fact, it's so deeply rooted in everything, literally every aspect of the society we take for granted, and its knock-on effects are down to these things you're mentioning, And so the Bitcoin fixes this thing is it's not just a catchphrase because it is so fundamental to fabric of society we have over generations just assumed as normal, And I personally see humanity as like we don't even know really what true humanity is because we have endured such multi-generational systemic like intentional abuse via the system that we actually have no idea. We're all suffering from PTSD to some extent or another, right?
Yeah.
That we don't even see it anymore, So yeah, I fully support everything that you portray in your work. I think it's amazing, and it's also really interesting to see the response you get to it. And I'm interested as well to ask, and this is something Una was asking before as well, and it's a very interesting question, is the response you get in general public, because you do a lot of plein air painting.
Yeah.
And I'm aware that you've had run-ins with the law because of it, interrogations and such like. How does Joe Public respond to seeing you, your fantasy version of the burning
Well,
bank?
it's crazy. The last time I went out a couple of weeks ago to do one on the street, passers-by were like, oh, first they kind of go, this is weird because here's a guy painting on the street, which in and of itself is unusual. And then they stop and they look and then they do a double take and turn around. They're like, hey, whoa, oh, that's awesome. Heck yeah. Yeah, fuck me.
That's radical.
The craziest thing talking about how, I'm just sort of convinced that the banks are just taking a just completely ignore me strategy at this point, because anything they do to lean in and persecute me just makes them look worse. The security guard standing in front of the Bank of America, and I'm across the street for like 2 or 3 hours doing a painting. When I was done with what I was going to do on location, because I finish them up at the studio, I set my easel up kind of right on almost on the street, as close to the edge of the sidewalk, and I kind of get a shot where I can see the building and you can see my painting on the easel. The security guard gives me a thumbs up. The security
Oh my gosh.
Hell yeah, I hate Bank of America too.
Wow, that's insane.
Yeah.
Well, that's quite an interesting insight, right? I mean, that says quite a lot in itself.
But early on, I know for a fact that there was panic with the banks. A friend of mine, I've told the story before about, we got new ears here. A friend of mine at a gallery that I used to show at up in LA called the Hive Gallery. He's from Ohio. And after New York, the biggest branch that JP Morgan has, the biggest, offices or headquarters, whatever, is in Cleveland. And a friend of his was in from Ohio, and he worked at the Chase in Cleveland, as like a VP.
Okay.
And so the guy who runs the gallery goes, "Oh, you got to meet this Schaefer. He does these like burning Chase banks." And the guy, his eyes popped out of his head, and he's like, "Oh my gosh, no way! You have no idea. They sent like an email to the whole entire email list of the company with a picture of you and links, and they're like, if you see this person, do not approach them. Call the police.
Really?
You do not know, what their intentions are, blah blah blah." And I was like, "No,
wow,
they were in full panic mode."
That's insane.
And then I think,
wow, you've made some waves.
Yeah. And if I was being like a conspiracy theorist, I would guess that after a certain point, I got used as a predictive policing model to train predictive policing, where they were like looking at my Google searches, looking at where my phone is, and you're trying to use predictive policing algorithms or whatever to say, okay, where's the next bank that he's going to go to? Because they see me searching on Google.
Yeah, of course.
And
looking
up stuff.
Oh, I wouldn't
see me driving by and checking it out. And then, then I'm literally there, and my location and my phone and what have you. And
wow,
I have no evidence of that. That's just like me being
no, but it wouldn't. But they would be silly not to use the opportunity, right? I mean, it's not really that much of a stretch.
Yeah, instead of predicting where someone is going to try to rob a bank or whatever, just train it to focus on this person, and try to guess the next bank that I'm going to do a painting at, because it's like a target,
Right. Yeah. And you say you haven't had any since that one major event where you spent time in jail.
No.
You haven't had any serious repercussions. You haven't had any any run-ins with the law.
No, and the crazy
since then. So they have been kind of instructed to leave you alone.
I believe so. Yeah. I have a friend. Well, not a friend, but we're acquainted with each other. And he's another artist. And he does like really realistic paintings of like Ventura Boulevard. They're super LA. They're very much tighter than my work. Moody, beautiful light, all that. And he would paint like a Denny's, or he would paint a McDonald's or whatever.
Right.
And he did a painting of like a nationwide branch chain store, whatever, with the light, and he painted the sign perfectly. And he had lawyers send him a cease and desist letter. Like, you're violating our, this is our trademark, your profit.
Right, yeah.
You have to stop doing this. And he was literally, I don't know, like more docile than I am. I would have said, fuck you,
Yeah, right. Wow.
He stopped painting the logos. Like,
wow.
Denny's at night with the sign, and it's all beautiful, but it'll look like AI wrote Denny's, where it looks like Cyrillic letters, or just, you can tell what it is because of the colors and the shapes and whatever, but it doesn't actually say Denny's anymore.
And even then.
Yeah.
Wow.
And he wasn't doing anything threatening. He was doing their logo perfectly.
Because, there are very strict laws about this. I mean, I know this from the photography world, that you cannot have certain buildings included in your imagery, without having paid for it. And they're very strict enforcing this if you're in the location, even in England. And you are portraying recognizable buildings, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and not only that, you've got people hanging in front of them. Wow.
And I've never gotten a letter like that.
That's nuts. I'm reminded of like because this whole thing, because this was in 2011, right? With the chalk drawings. Because I was in Iceland at the time, because it kind of, the whole thing kicked off in Iceland. I don't know to what extent that's known, but it was like in late 2008, October 2008, it started with the collapse in Iceland, which triggered this. Right, and so like, because lots of people in Iceland had invested in this, or had got loans, basically, there was a lot of anger, and people took to the streets en masse. Which, given Iceland, there's not many people, but it was a lot of people making a lot of noise.
Yeah.
And I was allegedly quite active in these things, and we were doing all sorts of stuff, man. We were setting huge Christmas trees ablaze. I did a for sale sign which we hung on the Parliament building, and all sorts of stuff. But they were clearly under very strict instructions to leave us the fuck alone. For that very reason, right? Because they would have just got much more like, it would have caused much more of a media whirlwind had they not done so. Yeah. And we would have become martyrs, kind of thing, you know what I mean?
Right.
And so, but like, do you ever get like people on the road kind of showing disgust for what you do?
I have never had anyone, when I'm painting on the street, be angry or nothing. If anything, they are standing around sharing stories of how they've been screwed.
Wow.
It's just,
wow, you're tapping into the public sentiment really well then, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. And,
wow.
and again,
brilliant.
When I was naive back in 2011, I thought there is no way that this is going to last another 3 years or something like that. I mean,
right.
I just never had any understanding of just how much they're going to bail out this system, and how expensive things are going to get, and how interest rates are just going to be stupidly low.
Right.
And yet here we are, like all these years later, and every time I do one of these paintings and post it on Instagram or Twitter or whatever, X, I get tons of likes and hell yes, and can you do this bank? Can you paint this? I get a lot of that. I get, you got to do TD Bank in Canada. Oh, you got to do this.
But you're quite brand loyal, I see.
I mean, I stick to the banks that are in the States mostly. I mean, I've actually done one that's like a European bank. But
you're welcome to come over.
Yeah,
see, test the waters here.
That's
test what the cops are like here.
Do like
maybe the
Credit Suisse or
HSBC. They're very popular.
Actually, I did do an HSBC.
Oh, did you?
I got invited to London by Max Kaiser and Stacy Herbert.
Okay.
And I did a plein air painting of an HSBC bank on fire. They actually have that one.
Wow, really nice. Okay, cool. Brilliant.
I credit Max Kaiser with radicalizing me. I think I started watching his show and
it's right not hard, right?
The rollout started, and right after right when the collapse began, a friend of mine was like, "Oh, you got to listen to this Kaiser report," and I just got hooked on it, and I started listening to him, and he was doing his whole buy silver, crash JP Morgan buy silver thing, and he was one of the first guys to talk about Bitcoin. So it was, he definitely, and he's so bombastic and hilarious.
Yeah, he does not hold back.
In person, he's like a lot of comedians that I've met where when they're on stage, they're just super animated, and then off stage, they don't say a word. They are just complete. You would not think that Max Kaiser, given how much of a like a carnival barker he is when he's on stage.
Right.
Off stage, he is just like, Stacy.
Yeah,
talking.
I had a real nice meet when I met him in El Salvador. He did a real nice video together with me, and he was very complimentary about my work, and so I was very honoured. But he for then some reason blocked me, and I have no idea why, and so I have to figure out how to get myself unblocked, like get a public petition going or some shit like that. Because he was super complimentary. I didn't quite understand it.
Yeah.
But yeah. Also, like around that time, like during these protests I was mentioning earlier on, this must have been like early 2009, right? The very beginning of 2009, Christmas trees burning in the background. And I remember thinking to myself, like, where are the hackers now, man? Now they would be so effective, Yeah. And here we are, all these years later. So sure enough, yeah, that was happening. Alex, I'm sure you get asked plentifully about the burning banks, but you also have a wide array of other work. Actually, I'm going to throw in something. It was really nice seeing when in Las Vegas, seeing your work up close, because it does so. It appears so meticulous. So you were talking about this friend of yours with the Wendy's and so on, who does much more polished work, and like from the screen versions that I'd seen of your work, they appeared to me so very meticulous and so like hyper realistic almost, right? And then to see them in real life, and you see this this palette knife style that you have, this plein air, very quick approach to it, and it's astonishing actually how much how much meticulous illusion you create with your style. I was very impressed with that, and I would like to know, like, you have you are clearly someone who has been an artist for a very long time, and I would like you to tell us a little bit about your early beginnings and how you kind of slid into becoming a painter full time.
Oh yeah, I mean,
take it way back.
Yeah. I have always been just a huge fan of the French Impressionists, the London School, the Bay Area figurative painters. I love painterly painting, and I always make a painting with the intention that this might hang up next to a Cézanne one day or whatever. I wanted to stand up to the artists that I really admire. And I feel fortunate that I have been a painter so long before the whole Bitcoin thing took off, and fortunate to have connected with that group, and it's such an amazing collector base. But, because it's set in my mind. I feel like I was a mature artist by the time that it happened, as opposed to a young artist that has different intentions.
Sorry, by the time that which part happened?
By the time that I kind of took off and became a cause celeb, and then became collected within the Bitcoin community.
Right. But you have a professional art history preceding that, though, no? Or am I misunderstanding?
I graduated art school in Pasadena in '92. I was an illustration major. I graduated from school. I started doing freelance illustrations for, Mother Earth News, LA Reader, Hustler.
Oh wow! Really?
Yeah, all kinds of different magazines.
I was actually just thinking. I do like your life work as well. It's super nice.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah,
your female form work. Yeah,
again, been part of my practice and something I love to do. And I did a children's book even.
Oh really?
Harcourt Brace and Company, called The Wizard.
Wow.
With written by Bill Martin Jr. And then I got absorbed into the video game industry like in 1993. And that was something that nobody saw coming. When you were going to art school, you were either going to be a freelance illustrator, at least where I went. You were going to be a freelance illustrator, or you were going to work for Disney.
Right. Oh, really?
One or the other. So it was either animation or freelance illustration.
Wow.
And the department chair at the time, he was kind of aging out and he wasn't hip to what was really going on, and just did not foresee video games becoming so huge and such an employer of artists. You know, it was like Disney and animation was where the artists were getting employed at the time. So I started making Sega Genesis and Super NES games, like way back.
Oh, really? Oh, wow.
And when I graduated, we had no Photoshop experience, no digital art experience. I learned everything on the job, you know, when I worked at Disney originally. And
because it was so fast evolving, right?
Yeah, it was so fast evolving. It was like on the job training. You know, here's this program, D-Paint. Like we made video games on D-Paint with texture map tiles that were literally 16 by 16 pixels. Like that tiny. And you're like, oh, I got to make wood grain. Oh, I have to make it look like stone.
Wow.
It looks like grass or whatever.
Oh, wow.
And so I worked at Disney for about 5 years, and then I worked for about 5 years for Insomniac Games. And we did this big hit game called Spyro the Dragon. And
right, I read about that one. Yeah.
And that was like that was a crossover success because it was just popular with boys and girls as far as the animation and kind of the cute factor. And
what year was this?
This was like 95, 90.
Okay.
And then I stuck around at Insomniac Games for Spyro the Dragon 1, Spyro 2, and Spyro 3. And they were roll-away successes. And I was making a lot of money, but I always continued to paint, you know, and that would be something that I would say to an artist out there, like, don't quit your day job. You could do both, you know.
Right. Yeah.
And I really experimented a lot when I had all of my bases covered and my bills paid making video games. I did a lot of weird paintings that you might not even think, oh, that's a Schaefer, you know. And but even in art school, I was always painterly, and I was fortunate when I went to Art Center to have some real amazing expressionistic painting teachers, like Richard Bunkle and Dan McCaw, Steve Houston, etc. And they really were like, you got a gift, man. Like you can draw, you can see, you can paint from life. And but like I said, when I got in video games, I was doing like minimalist painting,
right?
And stuff that I hated when I went to art school, you know.
Right. And did you enjoy it then when you were doing it professionally?
Oh yeah.
Right.
I mean, and because like I said, bills were paid and then some with
that helps.
I was making video games. I was able to kind of get that out of my system and then finally come around to, you know what, you're a representational painter. And, and you like plein air painting and figurative painting, and you like the masters and the impressionists and that sort of thing. And so I transitioned out of video games. I started substitute teaching at my alma mater. And then I got a full-time teaching position at the Art Center College of Design, and I taught there for like 14 years.
Wow.
And I was teaching foundation painting, drawing, digital landscape, real nuts and bolts stuff. And that's when I really got back into my roots of, you know, because all these young art students that are in illustration, they love representation. And they love to paint and depict things and what they see and or what's in their imagination and, you know, representing the world. And so I completely got back into it. I started doing the work again that was kind of I was meant to do. And it was actually when I was at Art Center, I was still teaching at Art Center when I did those first Burning Bank paintings.
When was the first one?
It was it was in July of 2011. And then
Okay.
I remember because it was like 2 months before the Occupy thing broke out.
Right. Okay.
Occupy Wall Street. And then there was Occupy LA, and it was the zeitgeist, you know.
Right.
Like,
No,
I
absolutely.
was
Yeah.
just perfectly catching this wave, and I managed to kind of tap into it right at the edge, and then it crested with this protest, and it was amazing, you know.
Right. So it was it with those works that you started making a break onto the like gallery scene, or were you there previously as well?
What I'll say about, well, there was, like I said, there was a gallery that I have shown at, I think they just had their 20-year anniversary, and which is amazing for a gallery to ever last that long. And so but it was a different kind of a gallery. You know, it wasn't like a blue chip art world type of gallery. And but still the community there, you know, everybody was excited, and there were shows every month, so it was encouraging to work. You could rent a little studio space there. You could paint there. You could even sleep there. I mean, no one was going to say anything. And
Right.
and
especially not you. You're
yeah,
you had a pass.
yeah.
No, I'm joking.
But the you know, one thing I'll tell young artists when it comes to galleries, having kind of having the experience of being in, you know, a more established gallery that sells my work, in addition to the auctions and doing stuff with Bitcoin sales, the galleries approach you. Like, you are never going to get into a gallery by cold calling them with a book of your slides or a thumb drive of your artwork. If you sit in a gallery that's like a big established gallery, you will realize, oh my God, there's just a million like people constantly coming in, artists going, oh, you got to look at my work. And it just doesn't work.
Really?
Like,
that's so
I got
funny.
a big gallery in LA after I started doing these burning bank paintings, and they approached me because I made an impression. And that's kind of that, in my experience, that's how it happens. It doesn't happen the other way around. It's very, very rare. Or you are friends, or you went to art school with someone who started a gallery, and then you're like in the inner circle, and your friend started the gallery, and you're the artist, and then they show you, and they show a bunch of their other people.
Right. Yeah. Like the little experience I have of the more establishment art world, because like I would kind of recoil from it. Also with Una, we did a lot of work together, and I just always just like it. I just found it disgusting, and like, but you're right. It was always by invitation. It was never a case of like, hey, do you want to show me? It was always by invitation. But you are one of the few people, I would say, well, not few, but you know, who can compare those two worlds, the more established gallery scene to the Bitcoin art world. How would you tell people those two compare? What are the main differences, would you say?
I would say that the more mainstream galleries, you know, they're a lot more, what's the word? Conceptual. You know, they're definitely, they're fed students that are fed the conceptual art line.
We were, my gosh.
You know, and really, to me, it's a battle between images and words. Right. And, you know, you could argue Marcel Duchamp was the first guy to kind of start to deconstruct painting and have it be about ideas. And so, whereas the Bitcoin art world, I find, is more traditional. It's younger, I think.
Yes.
I could be one of the oldest artists in the Bitcoin art world.
Quite possibly.
You know, I mean, I'm an old head.
You're 69, right?
Yeah,
that correct? Yeah.
year I was born. So
I've done my research.
yeah, I know.
I've read that on Wikipedia, actually.
It's just so weird.
Yeah, wow, yeah.
To have that happen.
Yeah, wow.
And fortunately, people don't like edit it with a bunch of crazy shit or whatever.
Oh God.
But but like I said, I feel fortunate that I did come at it at the age that I did, because I feel grounded in my own work. I feel like in my own way, I know what I like. Because I think young artists, they want to prove something to themselves, and they want to, we all have this kind of like a board of critics in our mind, and it's like Leonardo da Vinci and Raphael and Albrecht Dürer and whatever, and we feel like we can't do something unless we're able to do something else. Like, oh, I can't paint like Manet if I first can't paint like Courbet, or I can't paint like Richard Diebenkorn if I can't first paint like Leonardo.
Have to go through the entirety of art history to be able to get to where we are now.
Little art history thing in your own work, and I feel like I kind of went through that outside of the scene.
You've got a lot of practice space.
Yeah, practice space, and able to kind of go, oh, I like this. Oh, I admire this artist, but that is not my nature.
So how's your like popularity then? Because like I was having a closer look at your Instagram today, and it's like the numbers are quite astonishing at times. Is that a relatively recent thing then, would you say?
Yes, and it kind of comes in waves, I mean, for the longest time, it was just, I had like 7,000 followers or 5,000, I think. I remember it. I was like, wow, I got 5,000 followers. And, but, now that I'm at a certain point, I have people making compilation videos about me all the time now. It is so
wow. Yeah.
And
you've become quite iconic, man.
and it's not something that I try to do. It really happened organically. I might have more followers if I paid for Instagram,
Right.
And but it's happened, and I'm just grateful,
Right.
I was also fortunate to sort of evolve with the internet. And as I have taken leaps of faith to be like, you know what, I'm going to go and I'm going to leave video games and the security of the money I'm making, and I'm going to be a teacher, which I always recommend, people to do to make extra money or to make money as an artist. There's no shame in teaching. I hate that.
Right.
Those who can't teach line. It is so.
Yeah, no. I mean, some people were lucky enough to have an inspirational teacher, right? And that changed their lives.
Oh, yeah.
And it's such a wonderful thing to be able to do that for someone.
Yeah, truly. And people need to, and especially with painters, you learn by watching. I mean, that used to just be part and parcel to how, there weren't artists back in the day. It's like you were a 12-year-old Italian kid, and your parents let you go and live and work with Tiziano or something like that,
and mix his colors and clean his brushes.
Right, and then there was like maybe an 18-year-old guy that had been there for 4 years, and they were stretching canvases, or
I was about to say stretching the canvases.
Yeah, and so you learned on the job,
Yeah, which is one of the best ways, right?
Oh yeah.
Absolutely. Do you, so like, I assume then to an extent that your transition, or it's not really a transition as such, but your development, your progress into the Bitcoin art world, was quite like a natural and somewhat gradual one then, right? Like you got absorbed by it more than that you're like, hey, this is me.
Yeah. Well, and also I think that the sentiment behind the Burning Bank paintings was just perfectly in alignment with
exactly.
with the sentiment behind Bitcoin, and so it was just
Absolutely.
such a perfect match that was a
Yeah.
match made in heaven.
Actually, I use you as an example. There are a couple of painter friends I have, Bitcoiners, who I only know from the internet, but like they've become friends over time, and they're very highly skilled classical painters. Just having a quick look. Neither of them listening right now, but I hope they will. I'll send them this. And they kind of like, they have a hard time connecting, kind of like, yeah, but what do I say to them, come join in the Bitcoin art world, man. It's so, flourishing and so positive. And they'll be like, yeah, but I don't want to paint Bitcoin bees or whatever, I don't know how to make Bitcoin art per se. And it's like, yeah, but look at this guy, man. It's not Bitcoin art, but it encapsulates so much of what Bitcoin is, right? And it doesn't need to necessarily be in your face. This is a Bitcoin art painting, but it's like, it encapsulates so much. There is so much, adjacent stuff. Like, even like Apex's stuff, right? If it didn't have the bees in it, and if it didn't have the direct references to Bitcoin hidden in the works, it would still be Bitcoin art, because it's this proof of work, it's this glory, it's this kind of like, low time preference, like putting a lot of effort into things. That is just so representative of what we do and what we stand for. And so, yeah, I'm just spending a long time saying basically that Bitcoin art doesn't necessarily need to be, two-dimensional as such.
So new, the collectors are going to mature, the artists are going to mature, and it's all happening together. It really is a unique time and a unique place, and there's always going to be people that are excited and coming into it and bring that energy, and they're going to evolve as painters as well.
Right.
There's a famous Matisse quote that I'll paraphrase, but it's basically like, to the artist who doesn't know how to touch the earth from time to time, they end up going around and around in circles, repeating themselves until they extinguish their curiosity. And to any painter, I would say now and then do something, that's just outside of your normal practice, or, limit your palette or expand your palette. There's so many things you can do to keep yourself fascinated with it. I mean, I've always, in my mind, there's two parts to art, and there's the subject and there's the approach. And people are like, well, don't you ever get tired of like painting burning banks? You're doing it over and over. And the thing is, like, the subject is the same, but the approach is different. Sometimes I'm more realistic. Sometimes I'm more expressionistic. Sometimes I'm experimenting with the surface and so if you're, sometimes the subject part of like thinking of subject matter, that can get repetitive, If the way that you paint, as opposed to what you paint, if the way that you paint is what is always the underlying captivating thing, not like, ooh, I want to paint, cowboys. If it's how you're doing it, that is going to keep you longer. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. How does gunpowder perform as a pigment?
Oh, I'm sure it great.
Talking about methods.
There are. I think, who was it? Ed Ruscha. And I get people like, oh, you're like Ed Ruscha, because Ed Ruscha did a painting of the LA County Museum of Art back in the 60s. He did a painting of it on fire. Okay. He actually did do some paintings with gunpowder.
Oh, really?
He's like a conceptual artist.
Okay. And did he then like put it to use?
He not that I know of, but you probably could hold a match up to it, and the whole thing would blow up like cigarette paper or something.
Right, exactly. That would be kind of cool.
I think you could use it like graphite.
Sorry?
You could use it like graphite, you know.
Right, yeah, I'm sure. Like a stick of gunpowder.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow, that'd be very
Just
cool.
don't smoke.
No, exactly.
No smoke.
I'm kind of like, I'm thinking of Fiat Fire again. Need to get him on the conversation.
Yeah.
this thing I was talking about the other day of curating a plein air, what was it? A plein air performance artwork between the two of you. You know?
Yeah, yeah.
That was But yeah, no, this is something that I find personally super exciting about the Bitcoin art space. What you were talking about earlier on is the fact that it is still so relatively young, right? And there is actually so much subject matter.
Yeah.
To be dealt with, and there's so many different approaches to doing it. Like we have Fiat Fire doing his performances, we have Oksana doing her embroidery stuff. You know, it's literally we've got woodwork, we've got everything, and it's so. I'm just really excited to see how this progresses and how it grows and how it evolves with the space and with the growing adoption and with the growing, worldwide presence of Bitcoin.
Yeah. And it has everything about it. It has all the moving parts of an art scene, like take, the LA art scene. There are magazines, there are galleries, there are artists, there are collectors, there are art schools. And for a scene to exist and thrive, it needs all of that. It needs people writing about it. It needs people making the work. It needs people that collect the work, people that show the work. And without even
podcasters.
Yeah, you're part of what I would say writing about it, except this is like an interview type of show.
Yeah.
Without realizing it, all of those parts to a working art machine have come into fruition without anybody saying or realizing, that it needs to be. It just happens.
Right. It's spontaneously evolved, right?
Yeah. But I will say that I remember there's a guy up in LA. His name is Matt Gleason, and he started an art magazine in the 90s in LA. Out of there's no one writing. All the magazines are writing about New York artists, and there's all this art happening in LA in 1989, 1990, 91, 90 to whenever. I can't remember when the magazine shut down in maybe 2014. And he did say, if you do something and it doesn't happen in the blue chip art world, it's like a tree falling in the forest.
Right.
It's we still are, quote, outsider art to an extent,
Absolutely.
And but don't let that be something discouraging to any artists out there, because to be honest, I'm not a fan of a lot of the work that is in Art Forum and Art News and blue chip art galleries. And I think a lot of those galleries have just become a function of the financial system.
Absolutely.
They to avoid taxes. Because, and I have a friend who got a job working at a art shipping and art handling company for blue chip art. And so he would work with museums and individuals with $1 million collections. And if you have $1 million painting in your home, you have insurance on it, and you literally cannot move that painting from one wall to another without a professional art handler, because that's your insurance policy. And so he was going into these big homes, and he was kind of seeing the inside of how some of these galleries work, and it is just fugazi, total. There's so many lies happening, where they'll buy something for for, $8,000, but on the wall it said $20,000. And so the collector says, this is a $20,000 painting. Now I'm going to donate this painting to, the Sacramento Museum of Art or whatever. And I get a $20,000 tax write-off.
Yeah.
I'm paying $20,000 in taxes. And it's just, I don't have a lot of respect for that. I'd rather continue to be, where I'm at the level I'm at, and have it feel like it's real,
Right.
And what's funny is a lot of these big, you ever heard of Saatchi, Charles Saatchi?
Yeah, absolutely. I learned in London, so that was a very present name there.
He did the whole young British artist scene.
Right, yeah, it was horrible. I hated it.
Fluffed his own market with lies and and a lot of those painters, they were like they were caught up in a wave and their work doesn't stand up and I mean, Charles Saatchi famously just had his storage space miraculously, he took out a huge insurance policy and he put all this work that was gonna not do well in the future.
Oh, really?
Just
wow.
On fire. And so
which brings me
there's that fire again.
Right. No, I was having visions of MoMA on fire and, the Tate Gallery on fire and stuff like this.
Yeah.
Conceptually, that's the same thing, right? It's just the fiat machine. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And there's kind of this,
as in painting, a painting of them.
Between those institutions and financial institutions,
What's that, sorry?
There's just a fuzzy line between the two.
Right.
Like if you what is his name? Jeff Koons.
Yeah.
He was, before he was an artist, in the 70s, he was in finance. He was a stockbroker.
Oh, really?
And he was going to parties where there were, rich bankers and young artists, and they all wanted to party together. The artists, the artists had the cool space and the hot men and women for these bankers, and the bankers probably had the good cocaine, and they threw the parties. And Jeff Koons, literally, he said in an interview, I was going to these parties as a banker, and I realized, I'd rather be an artist.
Right.
And so he just...
That's nuts. That says so much, man. That says so much.
He so fits with these giant captains of finance and industry because that's what they are. He is...
Yeah.
He's not a hands-on artist. He is a
director, right?
He's a director. He hires people and they do the work, and he goes to parties and
well, it's just become such a tool, art in general, right? Both a financial tool and a political tool. I mean, the whole of the pop art movement having been, used or controlled by the CIA back in the day to affect a political narrative, right?
Yeah.
Sorry, what?
I said when I learned that fact that the CIA just was fluffing these auctions and throwing out chandelier bids on paintings and that they were just doing it as like a American exceptionalist propaganda tool against Soviet art that was stuck in the first quote unquote. It really blew my mind. I was like, wow, I would look at these Barnett Newman paintings and oh, gee, these are so great, minimalist stuff and what have you. And then I'm like, wow, you know what? They deconstructed painting. They got a bunch of people that were in bed with the CIA to write magazine articles about how great it was. And
right. Yeah, exactly. And did they like partying? Were they easy to lure into honey traps? Yes, they were. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was, I mean, because as soon as you realize this thing of culture being upstream of everything and how it has been used, especially in the last century, in this one now too, to affect a narrative, right? Like with the whole hippie movement and everything that the Tavistock Institute did and all of this stuff, it's, it just completely jilts your whole perspective on all of these things that we had assumed to be grassroots movements, right?
Yeah.
And then you realize the effect that it's had upon, you see these generations now, the young generations who are just like, in the normie world, right? Who are just like completely have given up hope. They've given up. It's just this nihilism has penetrated so deep.
Yeah.
And that's why
one reason call the art that comes out a lot of these East Coast Ivy League art schools like Yale and whatever, they call it zombie formalism.
Wow, I've never heard that. Nice. Wow, yeah.
They have to be a certain size. They can't say anything. They're just sort of abstract. I call it hotel lobby art.
Right. Yeah, there is so much of that, right? There's so much of that. It's true.
Yeah. And if you were in art because you have giant walls to cover and you also need, tax avoidance schemes, you are not going to buy, a $5,000 or an $8,000 or a $10,000 painting. It has to be at least $50,000. Otherwise, it's not worth the time and the effort.
Yeah.
So they just these prices at crappy work, like Dan Colin, he's the worst.
I don't know who that
is. He's one of these kind of he's like the American version of the YBA kind of bad boy.
Okay.
Slop art, where it's
like,
right. How bad can we do this? And he'll just do a canvas that's just stretched and it won't even be hanging on the wall. It just leaves.
Oh my God. This is like, it's interesting you say this because I had really observed this in Iceland because I spent 17 years there, right? And the art scene there, for one, there isn't a big enough market for most of them that they can survive off of sales. So they're mostly, like Iceland has a program where you can apply annually or biannually for government support. Yeah. And this is what most of the artists live off, right? And musicians and authors and etc. And in order to get this government support, you've got to toe the fucking line, right? You're not getting that support if you're doing some anti-authoritarian stuff. You're not doing, it has to fit the narrative, which is predominantly WEF, right? It's World Economic Forum style narrative. So it's all sculpted and molded by this narrative, and it's all nihilist, it's all ugly, like intentionally. I'm not saying that as an objective thing. It's just, it's intentionally just ugly and sloppy and fucking, nihilist. And it's just so sad. And I just never wanted to have anything to do with this. And that's why I was so happy to discover the Bitcoin art world, right? Yeah. It's like, yes, some hope. What's that, sorry?
It's demoralizing.
It really is, intentionally. Intentionally, man.
And it really just, it alienates people.
Yeah.
And does. Then they're like, art sucks.
Yeah.
Like, you could do that or whatever.
And it's supposed to inspire, it's supposed to uplift, it's supposed to, we need to bring it back to that. And I think we are, and, and I think, we're at the early stages of this, of a very exciting new scene, And there, articles, what's the guy called, Rice, Stephen Rice, is that correct? The guy who writes articles. And I think the way that he, sees things developing, I think there's a lot to it, I think that we will be offering an alternative to this, and I think with time, things are going at not Versace, but Sotheby's and Christie's and stuff like this, and I think with time this will be like a whole new art movement,
Mm-hmm. Have you ever heard of the Stuckists?
I have, but I can't place it now.
It was, oh gosh, what was her? There was some, it was one of Saatchi's artists that, she did like the installation of like a tent with a mattress in it.
Bloody, what's her name? Tracy Emin.
Yeah, Tracy Emin. She was like dating this guy who was at the time who was he was more in alignment with the type of things that we're talking about, and more on the representational side. And she was like, "You are stuck. You're stuck. You're stuck." And he's like, "Okay, well, I'm a stuckist." And so it's. I think it was kind of a movement for a while. I'm not sure what's happened with a lot of the painters that were showing at like Stuckist shows and stuff. But, I'd rather be a Stuckist than just like a toady,
Yeah. I've got to look into him. That's wow, cool. Okay, interesting.
Yeah, there's like probably if you type in Stuckism, the guys, there's like a Wikipedia page of it, and some of them, I mean, they should. Charles Thompson and Billy Childish are a couple of the big names.
Yeah. Billy Childish rings a bell. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I will do. Thanks. Reminding everyone, this is Alex Schaefer. Am I pronouncing it right?
Yes.
I would say Schaefer with my German background. Alex Schaefer.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. It's Alex Schaefer on the whole entire universe show, and we are being hosted by the Bitcoin Art broadcast, which is all thanks to the Bitcoin Art magazine, which I hope everyone has their copy coming to them soon. Alex is in it. I'm in it. Quite a number of people. Ariel's in it. Here, I'm just having a quick look over the list here. And yes, and I think Asanoa, he's got his shows happening once or even twice a week now. And so there's lots happening. You can check it out on the Bitcoin. Oh wow, now I haven't got my written down with me, but it's all, lots of exciting things happening. So thanks everyone for tuning in. It's been a real pleasure speaking to you, Alex. I was very happy meeting you at Vegas because I couldn't place.
That was so.
It was super. I mean, I hated Vegas. Everyone knows that. I really hated it.
It was like a family reunion.
Yeah, right. And we're going to be able to replay it next year as well. Same thing. Oh my goodness! I'll be better prepared this time. So it's better. Yeah, I'll know what's facing me. Actually, I'd been to Vegas one time before my brother got married there, when I was like 9 or 10 years old.
Yeah. And
it was a convenience wedding, right? That lasted for like a month max. Green card wedding, and it was in some casino, obviously cheapest thing going. And there was this like little old lady in a pink tracksuit who was part of the package deal that she was filming it, so they got a video, right? And then he did the whole like I do bit. And as soon as he said I do, the little old lady in pink said, "Can you say that again, please? It wasn't loud enough for the camera." So he had to repeat the whole kind of like the I do part, which I found so amazing. Even at my little old age, I was like, wow, dripping irony, man. What the fuck? That's crazy. So that had been my previous experience of Las Vegas, and I was not disappointed this year. But yeah, no, it was super fun meeting you because you kind of have these very, these paintings are like, get police attention and shit. And you're actually this like, as everyone who's been listening has found out, just like super gentlemanly, like real nice guy to chat to. And it was just real nice hanging out. And I was very happy to make that association, that you kind of, put the person to the work.
Yeah.
That's always nice to do.
It's nice to see work in person.
Yeah, that too, man.
I mean, I always try to make a painting that I like in person, so that's why that's getting back into the how you paint. I like the texture and the physicality of it, and that sometimes it's wrong, and then you fix it, and you make a mistake, and sort of like destroy, create, that sort of back and forth that we see in nature that comes through in the process,
But that to me is part of the thing, especially nowadays in this world that is oversaturated with AI stuff so rapidly, right?
Yeah.
It's exactly that gives it the human thing
Yeah.
that we so yearn for, right? If it's too perfect, the soul is missing.
Yeah.
And it's exactly that. And that's why it was so fun to see your painting in person, because like you really see how like rough and how much like actual fire emotion went into the production of that painting, you know? Yeah. It's as much in the execution as it is in the executed. No,
Yeah.
I was just joking. Yeah, no, but in the subject matter, you know.
Yep, exactly. I mean, you know, just as a painter, you know, you can draw a line and you can draw a perfect line, and then that line can become like you're afraid to cross it because it's like, well, this is exactly where the head is, and I
Yeah.
spent all this time getting this line transferred onto the canvas that now I'm just going to paint up to that line, and then I'm going to paint the background. And, you know, I've seen videos of painters sometimes where they almost work like a inkjet printer. You know, they start
Yeah, like me.
gonna go across, and all of my paintings have a moment where they are out of control. You know, you've gotta get off balance every now and then.
Right.
You know, like I do plein air paintings, I take off my glasses.
Oh yeah, okay, nice.
22,000 vision. It's like terrible. I have terrible blurry. But I don't want to see what I'm doing necessarily. Take off my glasses, and it's not like I have a cataract. I can still see all the colors, but I can't see every leaf and every crack in the window and every crack in the street and whatever. And it's like, if I can just push through, cover this canvas as quick as I can, just get it on there, and not, you know, tickle the brush strokes and not worry about everything being the exact same place. I know I can get it there eventually, but it doesn't have to be there in the beginning. You know,
it's super interesting you say this, because I like a long time ago, I had the thought like, surely like perfect vision, I do have like perfect vision, is actually an inhibition to seeing to an extent, because you're like my eyes personally, they're always darting for all the details, right? Which, yes, is a form of seeing, but in so doing, I can often miss the impression, the feeling, and all of this stuff. And that's, you know, painfully apparent in my work. I do these super meticulous inkjet style frigging renditions. Might change at the moment. I enjoy doing that, but that's in itself its own expression, right? But I find it super interesting to hear you say that, and it really comes across in your work.
It's funny. There was a time when I was making video games when I was like, oh, maybe I should get like, because I would wear glasses sometimes, or I would wear contacts. I go kind of back and forth, and I was like, maybe I should get the laser surgery, and then I'll just have great vision all the time. I am so glad I didn't do that, because now I have like a choice. I can see the detail. Glasses on, and I can just see the colors and the blur. And if I can get my painting in a blur to look like the landscape that I'm looking at, shit, I'm like 80% done. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, right.
I figured out ways with computers and what have you to get to the sharpness, and but it doesn't always have to. And in fact, I think it's better to start rough and then coalesce to the sharp edges.
But like, for instance, like in you can see that in the how you do the buildings, that the banks themselves are actually quite meticulously done, in contrast to the flames. And it's the same in your magic lantern paintings, where the audience is actually surprisingly rough. It doesn't appear that way. It looks like it's very very well painted, and you look into it, it's like, wow, this is actually super fast, and none of them have faces or fingers and shit, you know. But then the projection itself is super meticulous. And actually, I would
go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. I was just wanting to give people the opportunity, because like we're pulling up to like the end, at least the end of the official hour, and I would just like, if there's anyone who wants to ask something, to kind of like line themselves up and request to speak, while Alex and I wrap this up now. So if anyone has anything to ask or to say, to add, now is your time, or forever regret it. And just while people do or don't do that, I would like to ask you about the Magic Lantern works that you were doing, because I really love those.
Thank
guys.
you. Yeah.
Especially the song that you winning. Has a special place in my heart.
That just, I'm going to always continue to make other pieces, and I would say that one of the overarching things that captivates me and that I think is magical about painting is the effect of light. And that you can take paint and you can make a painting if you accurately articulate your values and your colors. You can make this thing that is just paste on fabric look luminous and have this glowing effect. And it's not plugged into a wall. It's not, there's no electricity involved.
It's magical, isn't it? It really is.
I truly think it is. And I think that representational painting and creating the illusion of light and shadow with is very much like it is a magic trick.
Right.
You are fooling the viewer into you're sort of like taking advantage of a part of their brain that just is wired to see objects, with light on them. With no light, you cannot see. And, there's an intrinsic quality to objects that is called local color. A blue book is always going to be a blue book, and it's going to be darker than a book that has a white cover. And those two things aren't ever going to change. But then that sort of locked in, I call it a chord of local colors. You can move that chord of locked in local colors up and down the grayscale without the viewer even realizing what you've done, you'll have colors on your palette that are just look like brown, but then
like the famous blue-black dress example, right?
Yeah. Which to me is a white and gold dress in the shade.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
There's no question about it. Yeah.
I don't understand how anybody sees that as a black dress.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
So obviously like a white dress that's in the shade with outdoor bright sun illumination behind it.
Right. Exactly. It's quite clear. But you're a painter. You have an advantage. You studied these things.
Because I know what the trick is,
Yeah, exactly.
The two things that came out of the Renaissance that were the two most important things were, one, and they're not necessarily in this order, but the first thing was linear perspective, creating a geometric illusion of space. The other one is called chiaroscuro, which is creating the effect of light and shadow with paint. And, it goes into, again, like the two aspects to any composition. I call it the line and the color. And color, even Leonardo in his book that he wrote centuries ago about, advice to the painter, even he said the color is the hard part. The line, there's ways to get the line. And it's funny, you look at all these old engravings by Albrecht Dürer. These guys came up with all kinds of crazy contraptions to help them draw.
Right, yeah.
With like glass panes, like Leonardo said, you can just put a pane of glass in front of your subject matter and take a grease pencil, close one eye, and just trace the contours. And you can, and they did.
Yeah. I used to do that on shop windows, actually, with a marker.
But the hard part, the magical part is the color, But a lot of people just, thinking in terms of talking about nuts and bolts painting stuff, a lot of people are mistaken into thinking they have to get the line first and then the color. And so they will draw a perfect drawing, and then that becomes a stumbling block because the drawing is perfect. So now I can't cover it up with paint.
Don't we know the problem?
Kind of restricted. I feel like the line becomes like a fence that you can't cross.
Yeah, absolutely.
I guarantee you that 80% of the likeness and the joy and the beauty of the painting is in the color.
Yeah.
That was the message that we learned from the Impressionists.
Yeah. This is something that I really appreciated about, we had, both Una and I, we taught at a Rudolf Steiner preschool, and so both of our kids went there.
Yeah.
And there, it's very natural. They do lots of sacred geometry. They do lots of getting to know nature and carving and wool work and all this shit is more important than, the things they taught at school normally here. And their method of teaching, in the preschool level, they were only allowed, or not allowed, but given these wax blocks to color with. And it was all about the surface that these wax blocks created rather than the lines.
Yeah.
So, because you couldn't really do lines with them. So they would learn first to create areas of color rather than doing the line that then gets filled in. And then slowly they would build up on that, or as they progressed with age and maturity, right?
Yeah.
So they had this this built-in kind of or ability for that, which I really appreciated. I thought that was a really good way of doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm 100% behind that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Yeah, cool. There's no one jumped up to ask questions yet. I guess we're just doing such a good job of entertaining them ourselves. But I also I want to respect your time. I want to respect other people's time. I don't want to have this too long. I realize also you've got things that you've got to be doing.
I'm building a bunch of boxes right now.
Yes.
Hey
Who
guys,
said something?
do you see? Well, Amy DG is here. She has her hand up. I'm not sure if you
Does
can
she?
see
Oh,
her.
I can't see that. Why can I not? Oh, because I'm just a speaker. I'm not a host.
Oh, yeah, because I didn't want to take the risk because sometimes that's
right,
the issue. But you can still see her there. Amy,
I can see her, absolutely.
There we
And
go.
I look forward to hearing from her. Because I've only seen her as a profile picture so far. So I'm really excited to hear what Amy has to say. Hi, Amy.
Hi, I didn't want to interrupt, but I have to tell you, this has been so good for my soul to sit here and listen. I have a studio at home, and I'm usually doing work while I'm listening in spaces, and I put the brushes down. I could listen for days, the conversation, where it went, and it's so painterly. Alex, thank you so much for sharing part of your day to talk about your process, and I'm just so full of love. Thank you. It was beautiful.
Thank you. I got goosebumps.
Wow.
Me too, listening. I got
goosebumps. Oh, wow.
We, like I said, there's the subject and there's the process, and, I could go on and on about one or the other, and sometimes, talking about the process, it just, you're nerding out. It's like, painters talking to painters. And, but, I found painting just to be a philosophy, a way to learn about yourself and your life, and the process is very important. You have to love it. And,
absolutely.
There's so many ways to just fall in love with painting again. There's if you sit and you meditate on your process and you kind of write down how you do things, then just flip everything upside down. If you work from a photograph, literally turn the photograph upside down and paint it upside down.
Nice.
Because take the glasses off. Be more aggressive. I always kind of divide painters and when I think of art, I'm a painting supremacist. And so when someone art, I think of painters and I think of painting, and And I am of the firm belief and have come to the understanding that I am in the rough school. I am team Rembrandt, team Titian, team Manet, and there's the other side of the spectrum, it's like, those are the Dionysians, and then there's the Apollonians, and that's like team Ang and team Raphael, and
that's
better than the other.
That's one of the fun things about like going to a Bitcoin art show, is that you get all of these things at the same time, and various, I love it. Each kind of like representing their one aspect of art history, basically, really, and taking it further, doing their own, interpretation of it and their own kind of like, imbued with this new passion for life and creation, and it's you're burning it down,
And another thing I would say is, let yourself leave a painting wrong. It's okay if it doesn't always look perfect. I mean, that's one reason why I think Degas is such a valuable lesson, because I look at Degas' work and I would probably say that he finished maybe 30% of his paintings are finished and 70% are unfinished.
That's the beautiful thing. Yeah.
You see, and you start to recognize, oh, this is unfinished. Like, he literally left this painting in this state of unfinished and went on to something else. So,
because he gave attention to the bits that he was giving attention, right?
Yeah.
He was like, this is the bit that needs the expression. The rest of it is peripheral vision basically, right?
Right.
It's just like the impression, the movement, the color, the atmosphere, the light, the music in his case, really,
and then also
the dance.
the understanding that you can finish it, but later. Sometimes it's better to let a brush stroke that's not quite right, but has a lot of energy. It is better to just let that brush stroke dry than to sit there and try to make it perfect. It's like, you can't paint you can't pet a butterfly. You just have to let it be. And there's energy in the brush strokes, the color, and the ridges of the hair going through the stroke of the paint. And there's this magic with oil paint or even acrylic where it looks wet, but it dries hard. Viewer can't tell, when you start to paint wet paint over the dry paint. Another good artist to look at is Berta Morisot.
No, I don't know.
She was kind of an acolyte of Manet, and she was an impressionist. And you look at some of her paintings of women with babies, and she did a lot of that subject matter, and it'll be like a hand, and it is.
I think I know what you mean.
The color is right, and it's in the right place. But you look at it and you go, "Oh my gosh, there's like no fingers, or it's just some burnt sienna and white and some yellow ochre, and it's kind of smeared, and then you look at her unfinished work and you look at her finished work, and you're like, at some point, this finished painting looked like this unfinished painting,
Oh wow, yeah, right.
Make that connection. We're used to going to the museum and we see everything is finished. It's all done.
That brings me to a question that I had forgotten about, but it crossed my mind. Roughly how long does one of your works take? Say the one that you did in Vegas. I think that's quite a good like average.
Yeah.
Or maybe, I think so.
Well, to me, if you've had a stopwatch on the painting, and I started that stopwatch every time it was on my easel and I was putting paint on it, maybe 20 hours total. But I'm always working on like 5, 8, 10 different paintings. I might have that painting in my studio for months. But every time I get it back and I'm like, oh, there it is. Okay, now I know how to solve this problem. I throw it back on the easel and I work on it for 5 hours,
right.
And then
you're a very, very productive person.
Yeah. It's
that's for sure.
better to just have a lot in my practice. It's better to have a bunch of pieces going than to try to finish one and then start another one and finish it and then start one and finish it. I'd rather start 8 paintings and then, and then take the first one and it's nice and dry now and all the brush strokes are frozen and locked in and I can put more paint on top of it. And get that interesting surface buildup that I think makes for a captivating painting, especially to see it in person. But some artists don't work that way, like Matisse.
No, I cannot imagine working that way. I'm so fixated on what I'm doing and will pour my entire life into it until it's done. You know, so I can't imagine it at all.
But like Matisse he would work on one painting at a time. And then he would finish it, and then he would start another painting, and he would finish it. But then an artist like Toulouse-Lautrec, I remember someone describing the way his studio was set up. He had like 15 easels in a circle in his studio.
Yeah, wow.
With 15 different paintings on it, and a big palette, and he would literally just walk from one painting, and then he'd go, oh, this color will look good, and he'd walk to another painting, and plop, 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 he'd put some brushes on, and
I mean, that way you are allowing the whim you have at the moment to be able to get expression, right? Because if you're working on one particular thing, it's I don't really have that kind of energy for that kind of painting today. It's just not resonating with me today. Right. And then you can just go to something that's red, and you want to do something that's red today, you know?
Yeah.
Or,
And again, one way or the other is not better than it, but it's just understanding what your nature is, what your artist temperament is, and just leaning into that.
Which is what you were saying early on about, like, it's such a self-discovery thing. One learns so much about oneself through the process of creating. And that's whether it's painting or making music or whatever. It's honing that craft.
Yeah.
Over a lifetime teaches you so much about yourself and about so much,
Yeah.
So it's brilliant. And thank God we don't all have the same way of working, because otherwise it just wouldn't be nearly as abundant, right?
No, and that's why there are so many French academic painters that would go to, Couture's studio or something, and they would learn his recipe, and nobody cares about those paintings now.
Right.
And like I've always recoiled whenever an art teacher would hand out a flyer or a pamphlet and it was like a recipe for skin tone. I was like, this is bullshit.
Right. Yeah.
No such thing. But that's how it used to be, like Rubens had a recipe and that worked because that was Rubens, and Raphael had a recipe and for his skin tones, and you kind of needed that. But when I have a teacher, or I go sit in on someone's class and they hand out and they go, here's how you mix skin tone: Naples yellow and yellow ochre for the forehead, and then burnt sienna and white for the cheeks, and then you add some terra rosa for the nose, and you're like, what the fuck? Who are?
And that depends so entirely on the light and the time of day and what clothing they're wearing and what colors the walls are and so much.
Yeah. What if someone's skin's really red? Or what if,
What if they're really embarrassed by being painted?
Yeah.
There's so many factors. Yeah, wow. Yeah, it becomes so formulaic then, right? And then the skin tone will just look out of place. The person will look like copy pasted in.
Right. When you get the flyer that has the recipe for skin tone, you're basically getting how to, white people in white light,
right.
And that's it.
Well, it's like no serious chef works according to recipes. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
It's good to have a foundation to learn from, to kind of like, so you're not spending 5 years making tons of mistakes, but you have to build from there, and you have to then like use your eyes and your heart and stuff,
Yeah.
Cool. Well, listen, we've done 1.5 hours, which I kind of in my mind is kind of like my personal limit at being able to do these things, and what I find personally interesting, or a good length to listen to.
Yeah.
Is there anything anyone would like to say? Is there anything you would like to say as final words? Yes, we have. Oh, we have Kesa, I think.
Okay.
Kesa.
Hey guys, thank you for such an incredible conversation, and just really enjoyed learning more about Alex, everything about your process, your past. It's just been incredibly inspiring. So I'm very grateful. And I wanted to say, Una had a request that I'm so sorry I missed. So I just brought her up because, I forgot that you're not a co-host. So I'd like to see what she would like to share. And maybe just before that, I'll just let everybody know that there's a link in the nest. If anyone hasn't seen the Holiday Market by Fractal Encrypt, there's excellent Christmas presents from various artists. And you can get the Bitcoin Art Magazine at the Holiday Market. And the best news about the magazine is that it is printed and it'll be on its way to Asanoha real soon. So we're very hopeful, almost certain that it would reach the magazine, and the gold foil will reach people in the US well before Christmas. So that's just a really great piece of news in case you are hoping to get some for gifts.
Right.
But thank you. And then real quick as well. Did we lose Anik? Oh no, he's there. Okay. Well, do you have another?
I'm still here.
Do you have another guest lined up?
No,
same time?
I hadn't thought that far, but it will be same time next week. It will be Wednesday evening for Europeans, midday for Americans. But no, I haven't done that yet. I'll have to get to that.
Keep your eye out on Anik's account and ours. Of course, we'll repost that. And so same time, same place, there will be another wonderful whole entire universe discussion. And then Asanoha will be having episode 4 of the Bitcoin Art Podcast. And again, I'm not sure who the guest will be. Just keep your eyes out.
I'm very upset that I missed the one with Fractal a couple of days ago.
I put it in the nest as well. If
I have to check up on that one. I have to listen back to that one now
as well.
I'm sure it was.
All right. So Una, welcome.
Thank you. Alex, it's been such a pleasure listening to you, and you just make it sound so easy, don't you? You just make it sound like it's just simple, and all you got to do is just turn up and do it, and use your eyes and your brain and discernment of what's going on around you. And I love it. And it's so true. It's been absolutely great. And all I wanted to do basically was just to be allowed to read again what Anik read for you guys in the beginning, because I feel like it was a little bit rushed and it just deserves like another take at the end of it.
That's very kind of you.
Are you okay with that?
Fine with it. Alex, are you okay with that?
Absolutely.
It's a very short thing. I'm just going to switch around because obviously I'm not Anik reading it, but it's so I would just say thank you for this morning, afternoon and evening, ladies and gentlemen. This has been the second episode of Whole Entire Universe with Anik Malcolm and Una Steeks on the Bitcoin Art broadcast, presented to you courtesy of Bitcoin Art Magazine. Make sure you're following Bitcoin Art Magazine on all social media channels. You can find all our links on bitcoinartmagazine.com, and do make sure to order yourself a copy of the magazine, or even the fine art book version if you haven't done so already. This is absolutely certain to become a seminal work of Bitcoin art history, and features many of the artists presented on this show, including Anik. You can stay up to date with all upcoming shows on bitcoinbroadcast.com, and do make sure that you're following Anik on Twitter, Anik Malcolm, and you can check out the artwork that he makes on anikmalcolm.com. that's all I wanted to add, because as Amy already said, it's been so incredibly just entertaining, relaxed, and very, very just, satisfactory. There's nothing to add.
That's very nice of you to say.
I feel nicely taken care of. Thank you so much. I'm going to mute myself now.
Thank you.
I can't let you say that without adding the fact that, but basically I just wrote what Asanoa had sent me, like, hey, say something like this. And I just like quickly wrote it out, changed it a little bit, but those are basically Asanoa's words. So he gets all the credit for that little intro. But thank you, Una. That's very kind of you.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you, Kisa, for hosting it so well, and thank you, Amy, for your lovely addition there. That was real nice. And Alex, thank you so much for your time, for your insight, for your work, for being a gentleman, and for a great second episode of the whole entire universe.
Brilliant. Thank you for having me. We'll see you.
Thank you so much, Alex.
Digital world now.
Yeah, exactly. And see you in Vegas.
Yeah.
All right then, man. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.